Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to the Thursday night edition of the Third and Long podcast. My name is Shane Harris. Above me is Oliver Butler Henderson. To my up and my, yep, I was right first time. Up in the corner there is Ollie Hope, and to the right of me, my buddy, the Geordie fiend himself, Mr. Philip Perrins. Gentlemen, how are we on this fine Thursday evening?
I'm good, but
brilliant.
I don't know what I'm going to do on Sunday now because my entertainment's sort of finished now for the season.
Well, granted that you said you don't know what you're doing on Sunday, but a little bit later on in the show, Ollie, we're going to talk about what our American football fans can look forward to in the off-season on a Sunday. But that's for much later in the show. But can I just notice, by the way, Ollie, what's this I see on the right-hand side of the screen? The hottest tea in the NFC?
Oh.
Niners! Woo!
This is hottest tea in the NFC. I love it.
I haven't got mine yet.
And you live the closest! You live the closest!
I know, it's great, isn't it?
Oh.
Good evening, gentlemen, and welcome all. As Shane said, it is Thursday night. We've got some information. I'm going to mix it up tonight.
Okay.
I'm going to start with something different than we normally finish with. Phil, are you ready for this week's?
Oh!
Bop, 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 bop. All right then. Normally, after the Super Bowl season, it tends to be a quiet couple of weeks in the NFL. So, a couple of notable birthdays happen on Valentine's Day. Now, ladies and gents, while you are canoodling and hugging your most loved ones, Patriots legend Drew Bledsoe turned another year older. Hall of Fame worthy quarterback in an alternative dimension is Drew Bledsoe. But more importantly, as we come on to a little bit later on in the pod, on the 15th of February in 1965, NFL teams made a pledge to not sign any college seniors until all of their games were played, including their respective bowl games, which I think is an important thing, considering that we talk about in our soccer about players' heads being turned on potential transfer moves ahead of the big games, but making sure that the players are focusing on their college careers and their college degrees before going on to the professionals much later on. And 3 years ago this past weekend, we had the inaugural second time around XFL season, which started. That's right, Vince McMahon 20 years later tried to reignite his XFL, but instead of it being a financial failure, some disease from China ended the season prematurely. But thankfully for us, The Rock, that's right, the great one himself, is bringing back the XFL this Saturday weekend.
God bless Dwayne. God bless Dwayne. You were
God
saying
bless
then,
The Rock.
I thought you were going to say about inaugural bowls. I thought you were going to mention the lingerie bowl then, Phil.
Well, I mean, tomorrow's also, speaking of like a proper Hall of Famer, tomorrow is Jim Brown's birthday, where he will be, hold on, let me just work out because he hasn't said, Jim Brown will be 87 tomorrow. The great Jim Brown. Famously played for the Browns.
He did?
Yes. What a player. Unfortunately, I would have loved to have seen that guy play live. Seen clips of him, and he was a proper baller.
We talk about like Barry Sanders. Like we talk about Barry Sanders being like, one of the modern great running backs. The same with like Marshawn Lynch and Adrian Peterson and others of that particular. Sorry,
Walter Payton.
Well, I mean, again, just that kind of era. That was kind of before all of us. I mean, as much as I'm a massive NFL historian, like Walter Payton's career kind of came to the end after they won the Super Bowl in '85 in the Bears. Like his greatest season were like the late 70s into the early 80s, and the same with like Jim Brown. Jim Brown hit his stride in the 60s and I think like the early 70s, and we can talk about like OJ Simpson as well. But Jim Brown is just we talk about like Jerry Rice being the GOAT of wide receivers and Tom Brady being now the GOAT of quarterbacks, but Jim Brown is the GOAT of running backs. Like every player that's come since has been off the back of
Frank Gore is the GOAT of running backs.
Frank Gore was the first 49er jersey that I ever bought out of my own pocket, and even though I respect and love Frank Gore, he was great, but I think he was in a era where there was better, more consistent.
I wasn't
running
actually
back.
saying Frank Gore was the GOAT.
Mm.
But Frank Gore.
No, but I was just thinking, like, just in my head, like, Frank Gore was amazing and is amazing, but like he was in that era where Adrian Peterson won MVP, and he was the last non-quarterback to win MVP. You got like Marshawn Lynch, who was just an absolute machine. Like, modern listeners, if you never saw Marshawn Lynch, he was like the Derrick Henry, but 10 years prior. I mean, Marshawn Lynch was terrifying. Like 49ers fans still have nightmares about him. But
Guys, really quickly, can we have a quick sidebar before you continue, Phil? Sorry for interrupting. Just a quick round the table. What is the first NFL jersey, your team or otherwise, that everybody has actually bought? I'll go last.
I'll go first.
I mean, mine definitely was Frank. Yeah, go on.
Mine was Kaepernick.
Oh, I bought Frank Gore, and then about a day later, I bought Drew Brees because I went through an era where thinking Drew Brees was like the absolute shit. Like, I thought he was amazing. So Frank Gore, closely followed by a day later of Drew Brees.
Ollie?
Mine was Gronk. I've got Gronk, TB12. I'm sad to say I haven't got a Jules one, which I'm really bad about. I got Slows, I got Jude, I got Mark. Yeah.
You've got that defender whose name
We know.
That's a
Carl Duggar. And I got Carl Duggar as well. So yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, Gronk was my first one.
My first one I ever bought, I got in trouble for going to Download Festival wearing it really quickly. I was walking down the campsite, with my friends, having a beer, having a laugh. And I had people coming up to me in different team jerseys and saying, you can't wear that. You can't wear that. After what he's done, you can't wear that. Any guesses what jersey it was?
OJ Simpson?
Was it OJ? Was it Hernandez?
Ray Lewis?
Yeah, no. It's a Ray. Ray Rice, yeah.
I'm just thinking, like, I mean, off the long list of scummy players that play for the Ravens, I'm just thinking, like, oh my God, so you had a murderer, you had an abuser, you had someone that stole a career, like lots of different players that play for the Ravens.
So, should we roll on to some news?
Yes, please.
So it's finally been confirmed. I think we've known this for the last 3-4 weeks now. Derek Carr's finally been released by I almost said Oakland Raiders, Las Vegas then. I think it's a bit of a shit show by Las Vegas, if I'm truly honest. I don't think that
he made the Pro Bowl this year.
Yeah, I know.
By default. Like, it's got to the point now where the Pro Bowl is literally like Patrick Mahomes wasn't going to play, Hurts wasn't going to play, and then you got like the ones in the NFC Championship games and the playoff games, and it literally is just like the who's left. So you can't have like the Raiders who had an appalling season despite my best wishes every single week, and then Derek Carr, who did he even get the most interceptions or the second most interceptions of the season, and yet he's picked for the Pro Bowl.
I think Prescott threw the most.
It's like, yeah, but I think he probably got selected for the Pro Bowl or canoodled his way into the Pro Bowl because it all took place in the Raiders Stadium.
Canoodled his way into the Pro Bowl. Love that.
Second use of the word in the last 20 minutes.
Okay, so let's just go around again, like Shane asked us to, but just one word. Where is Carr going to end up this time? Like, where's Carr going to end up? One word. First week, next season, one word.
Mr. P.
Indianapolis. Yeah.
Go on to Mr. Harris. Let's go that way.
Okay. Saints.
Tampa.
Jets.
So on our poll that we put out on Twitter the other day, only teams were voted for, and they were they were Jets and Bucks, and Bucks got 56%. I did put 4 teams on the poll, but only 2 were voted for.
I think Tampa are a bit smitten with Jimmy actually.
I think Jimmy's going to end up in Tampa. He's going to go from East Coast to West Coast. Sorry, he's going to go from West Coast to East Coast.
I mean, there's going to be a lot of dominoes falling around. Aaron Rodgers comes out of his black retreat. I think Sunday he comes out. Dark retreat, whatever the hell it's called. Got to be careful how I word that. So yeah, he's coming out of that over the weekend. He's going to go, I want out. And apparently the rumours are Green Bay are willing to go, right, if you want out, we'll help you. See you later. That's pretty much saying.
Like the only place I see Rodgers playing, if not Green Bay, is in the green in New York.
Yeah, or don't. It's gonna be interesting. Aaron Rodgers goes. Are Green Bay going to go with Jordan Love? Are they going to take, say, Jimmy, or are they going to take Derek Carr? Or are they going to draft someone? It's going to be an interesting offseason with the QBs again. Personally,
Yeah.
The coaching carousel is starting to stop turning, as we're going to go on to. But as soon as that stops turning, that's when the QB carousel starts to spin.
So I didn't take long Colts to go. Yeah, announce Shane Steichen. As their new HC.
I thought it was Steichen.
Steichen, as their new OC head coach. He's the former Eagles.
I've just realised some news you've missed.
Go on then.
Arizona Cardinals, Jonathan Gannon is their head coach.
Yes,
Eagles DC.
I did ask and no one replied. Yeah.
Whoops.
Yeah, I quite like this Colts signing, to be honest. I think they can get, if he can get the best out of them, what the Eagles had, if they can get Jonathan Taylor working again, the Colts will be okay. I mean, Jonathan Taylor was nothing like he was.
I'm just going to say a controversial opinion here. Jonathan Taylor, one season wonder.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you not think it was just a shit show of an offensive line and an offense in general, and Indy just being a shit show in general last season that caused him to have that downfall? And he did have a few injuries as well.
I don't think the offensive line changed from 2 seasons ago to 1 season. No, changed as much as to affect Jonathan Taylor's output as much as it did.
But he did have injuries. If I just
he didn't at the start of the season and was still poor.
Yeah, to be fair, Indianapolis were poor.
Yeah, but I feel like Indianapolis were poor because they built the offense around Jonathan Taylor, and even with the offense built around him, he still didn't perform.
I'm just trying to get up his stats.
I mean, to be fair, he didn't have season all in. I mean, injuries included, but I mean, that first season he got 11 touchdowns. His best season was in 2021. We had 18, and then we had a significant reduction in output where he only got 4. His longest was 66 yards. I mean, he only ran for under 1,000. I mean, yeah, I'm inclined to believe with Mr. Hope. I think Indianapolis will either look to move him on, or it's going to be a very significant kind of like revamp of what they're going to use for him. Because it all depends on where they go with the quarterback situation. Are they going to go for a mobile quarterback? Because then if they do, Taylor's output's going to be very, very different. Are they going to go for a passing quarterback, say like a Derek Carr? So it could be, a very, very different looking team. I think if Jimmy Garoppolo was going to be the Colts quarterback, I think Taylor would have a pretty good season. But it depends on whether Colts really want to take it next. He's their superstar, but do they actually need him next year?
I also think them trading away Hines was a bad move.
Yes.
I'm going to flip this. So Jonathan Taylor had 11 games last season. That's a third of the season missed. Okay. His averages was a yard down, yes. His long was longer. He had the same number of fumbles as he did the year before. His average is about the same all the way along. He was receiving. He took more receptions that year.
Look at the touchdown numbers.
Touchdown numbers 8, yes, but look at the touchdown numbers in total by Indy. Indianapolis finished the season at, I want to say 4-11, 4-13. I don't even think it was that. It was 4-13.
Wasn't it 4-12-1?
Oh yeah, they had a tie. I missed that
Yeah,
one.
they tied with Houston first game of the season.
You had a quarterback, a head coach for half the season who shouldn't have been a head coach in the NFL, and somehow was still going to be win the shout head coach going into next season.
He is a head coach.
What? Jeff Saturday?
No, that was Frank Reich.
I'm on about Jeff Saturday. So Jeff Saturday, they hired him because of his name and what he did in Indianapolis. Was nowhere near ready to be a head coach in the NFL. Give him like an OC role or some kind of lineman's role or tight end role, on the offensive side of the ball. If you want this guy to be a head coach, and build him up that way. They set him up to fail. He had one win in the last 10 games.
Yeah.
I think, personally.
I may be wrong, but
and he beat the Raiders. Like,
I just think he had this one amazing season, and he is maybe a slightly above average running back.
I would put him in the top 10. Easily, possibly even top 5.
Well, I mean, there's a segment for the off-season.
And I'm not going to tell you who I'm putting at number 1.
Christian McCaffrey.
No, that's Mondre. What are you on about?
Yeah, you're just not saying it because you know the Christian McCaffrey. Anyway, so Stane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon. We should probably talk about those two a bit more rather than go off about Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, as we always do. We never stay on topic. Come on, you should know that by now.
We are getting towards our 2-year anniversary, and I think we've had at least one off-topic rant in every episode.
Pretty much, that's how it goes. Steichen. I like that. He had a really good offensive season with the Eagles this year. Got them to the Super Bowl. Have scored heavily. No matter who it is, you put in front of you. How much was on Jalen Hurts? Next season's going to find out.
I did notice Sirianni was saying that he does expect the new offensive coordinator for the Eagles to call the plays next season.
It's an in-house one, isn't it, by the looks of it?
I've not seen
in-house signing.
I've not seen who's going to get it, but I did see Sirianni said he was going to call plays.
Nice. And Cardinals guy. I've seen a video of him.
Here's my thing with Jonathan Gannon. He's a defensive coordinator, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
I assume they're going to get some offensive guy to coach Kyler.
Unless they're going to bring someone in specifically for Kyler.
Yeah, but for me, if they
the quarterbacks.
If they bring in an OC that is the new quarterback whisperer, if I'm going to use Washington as an example because I think Frank Reich's going to fail, and they go, we need a new head coach next year. Oh, look at this guy! They totally revamped Kyler Murray. We'll take him.
No, yeah, it is a strange one. I mean, obviously they went for the interview process. Believe that they can make Phil's dying. Believe that they can make Kyler Murray great. I mean, the first meeting that I've read, it seems positive. I've seen the videos that they seem positive as well. So, if you're a Cardinals fan, fingers crossed. If you're everyone else, let's all hope and laugh.
So, boys, was there any more coaching hires this week then?
Well, there's the Rex Ryan thing, isn't it? Like, where's Rex going to go? Because there's this big pull about him going to Denver to be in Sean Payton's completely charged up.
Back to Sky Sports.
I don't want him on Sky Sports. I don't want him on Sky Sports anymore.
So
now that we've had Phoebe, I don't want anybody else. Like, it's Phoebe or nothing. Phoebe, Jay Bell, and then Jeff Ryan Bowl in the playoffs. I don't need Rex. Sorry.
I like Jeff.
Yeah, but Sean Gale hasn't been on for a while. Don't forget we had Cecil as well at one point. Does anybody remember Cecil?
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
With the
Oh.
great Kevin Cadle.
Yeah,
Oh,
oh
the
my
great
god, the
Kevin
great
Cahill.
Kevin
Yeah.
Cahill. But like honestly, I'm just so
We had
the
that
Sky
one,
coverage
see.
this year has been brilliant.
We had Tory Smith for a bit.
Yeah, oh my god,
I love
Tory.
Tory Smith. I love Tory
Yeah.
Smith. What a guy.
I'm
It's
going
all
to
right,
put
boys,
something
don't
out there.
worry. It's all right, boys, don't worry. There's another coaching hire, but this will give me time to do my research and speak about it on next week's show.
Hey, I'm going to put something out there, and I've read a lot of people going, "This isn't right," it's not right, and they're very anti this. But I've said this on Monday's show, and I've listened to a bit more, and I think Monday's commentary on the ITV was really, really good. And I think Darren Fletcher's done a really, really good job. Jack Crawford gave some really good knowledge. Maurice Jones was really good as well. Give the guy some credit. Darren Fletcher knew his stuff, and he is a proper commentator.
Yeah.
And if we want to grow the
Yeah.
sport in this country, they need to give UK commentators the chance to commentate on it.
I can't comment because I didn't watch the ITV coverage.
I'm just saying on that.
I understand what you're saying, Ali, because you got people that do like different sports. The likes of Ian Dark, he does boxing and he does football as well. He's knowledgeable about both.
I mean, we do generally take for granted, don't we? Like in the UK, where we go, well, if it's football, it's going to be, if it's on BBC, it has to be Gary Lineker. If it's on Sky, it's going to be Jeff Stelling. But like when you look at like America, and I mean, just looking at Stephen A. Smith, he literally does football and basketball, doesn't he? Like, and you got Shannon Sharp who will do basketball as well, and like it is just, it's just something that I think we either don't recognise in the UK, or we're not interested in the UK, where we just have to put everybody in one bucket and we're not allowed to
It's
like have them mix around.
Who's the commentator who does football and baseball? He worked with Troy Aikman last year.
I hate
CBS,
it.
dude.
No, it's not CBS.
I can't think of something.
Whatever, but
Sorry,
I know he was flying around doing the World Series and 3 football games in a week.
Oh, bloody hell.
It's incredible.
They were talking about it. They showed his schedule of flying over a week, and it was incredible.
Who would like to go first on revealing their first mock draft? Mr. Hope.
Go on, bud.
Right, let me just bring it up. Mr. Hope, here we go. Bring up your mock draft now. We have to move slightly to the left, me and Phil. Me and Shane. To your places.
Yeah.
Okay,
Go on, Mr. Hope.
I genuinely believe Will Anderson Jr., the edge defender from Alabama, will go number 1 if the Bears keep the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
I've seen some rumors this week that Houston are going to take quarterback at 2 because, to be honest, I think they'd be stupid if they didn't. And I've got them taking a lot of people's number 1 quarterback, Bryce Young.
That's where I go.
At 3, I've got Tyree Wilson, the edge defender, going to Arizona, which, to be honest, I hope doesn't happen because this guy's a beast, and I'd rather keep him out of the NFC, to be honest.
Yep.
For Indy, I've got CJ Stroud. If Will Anderson doesn't go number 1, I think Jalen Carter will. And can we keep him out the NFC West too? But I do have him going Seattle.
You'll be happy with mine then.
I have Detroit taking a cornerback because I think they need help there. So I went with, in my opinion, the top cornerback in there, Christian Gonzalez.
So I'm going to have a bit of a discussion with you about that when we cover the cornerbacks.
Okay. Vegas taking, in my opinion, probably. I do think this guy's actually the best DB in the draft, and that is Brian Banch, the safety from Arizona. I have the Falcons losing patience with Marcus Mariota and taking Will Levis.
Okay.
I then have the Panthers giving somebody else to rush with Brian Burns, taking Miles Murphy. and then Miles Murphy, Quentin Johnson to go to the Eagles to give a very, very scary 3 wide receiver situation. That's my top 10. I'll just run through the rest. Van Ness to the Titans, Cansey, the DI to the Texans. My last quarterback to go is Anthony Richardson to the Jets. Then a tackle, Skoronski to the Patriots. Sorry, Ollie, I know you don't really like that pick. Addinson, Caleb Williams' favorite.
You say I don't like that pick. I think Patriots will be picking. I will be taking up tackles in the off season, in the free agency.
Ollie, I think you prefer my pick. You prefer my guy at 22, though, don't you?
I love that guy at 22.
Washington are going to give their new quarterback, who's as yet undecided, some actual protection with Cyrus Torrance. Another cornerback, Witherspoon, going to Steelers. Brian Breeze from Clemson to give the defensive line. I mean, I've just realised I've got. Oh no, don't worry. Then Kincaid is the first tight end because I just think he's better than Michael Myers. Going to Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I did the same thing, Shane.
Yep.
What?
No, Michael Myers. He's a serial killer from the Halloween films.
Yeah.
I mean, he's also Austin Powers.
That's Mike Myers. Have you not seen Baby Driver where they have that conversation?
Yeah, but you can show Michael Myers to Mike.
Yeah, but you don't.
I doubt you see Baby Driver. It's an over 18 film. Love him. Anyway, continue.
I have seen.
It's not a Disney film.
I have seen Baby Driver. I have Jackson Smith and the Jeep going to the Chargers because they made trade.
I like that pick. I like that pick.
Taking Shano, I've got Ollie's baby Zay Flowers going to the Ravens.
Okay.
I've got the Vikings taking a cornerback in Deontay Banks. I've got the Jags taking a quarterback in somebody I know you're very high on, Joey Porter Jr.
Yes.
I then have the serial killer himself, Michael Myers, going to the Giants.
He's gonna kill it up there.
I have Muzzy Smith to give some more punch to the Dallas defense. I was going to give him Jalen Hyatt, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. The Buffalo Bills are taking a safety in Antonio Johnson. Bengals trying to give Joe Burrows more protection in Paris Johnson Jr. Saints taking Tyreek Stevenson. I don't know why I've given the Eagles 2 wide receivers when they have 2 wide receivers who are good, but I've given them Jalen Hyatt and Nolan Smith, the edge defender, going to Kansas City at 31.
So I think subconsciously you're giving the Eagles 2 wide receivers because they've got 2 number ones, but they haven't got a 3 and a 4 and a 2 wide receiver. One of those 2 go down, they are in trouble, I think.
They're also going to lose some players. They're going to need the depth.
Oh, yes.
Like they've got a lot of players that are going to be leaving on free agency.
They do.
And anything you want to pick the bones of that one, gentlemen?
No, I mean I quite like a lot of those. I think when it comes to mine, Will Anderson Jr. I've elected to go to Chicago as well. Where I think CJ Stroud will end up, I'll come to that when it comes to mine a little bit later on. But they're solid.
Who would like to go second? Shall we go Phil?
I'll go.
Go
on, Shane.
Boys, so everyone, this is my first mock draft. As anybody who knows me knows, I'm not a college football expert in any way, shape, or form. I've had a lot of help. Thank you, Ollie. I do this.
Text messages.
And I do this on my phone. So my eyes are not the best. So what we're going to do, we're going to put this in the podcast Twitter feed just to see what anybody thinks. Any advice, feedback, help. I've completely taken on board. And then when we do it again in a few weeks' time, when we do it next, I can obviously take that feedback on board. But as you can see, I've taken a lot of what Ollie has done. And I've taken a lot of it myself. Like I got Jalen Carter going to the Bears, I believe. Do that right? It's tiny.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, and I got.
Do you want me to read it out for you, Shane? No?
You've got a lot of callbacks going. You've got a lot of callbacks going, Shane.
Yeah. Go on. Ask me questions. I'll try my best to answer.
I mean,
To be
that's
fair, there is.
five in the top 10.
Okay.
To be fair, yes. Every one of those teams need a quarterback. That he's fired a quarterback in. Not going to deny that. I really don't like that Zay Flowers pick at 26. That's ridiculous.
Sound? Okay, cool, yeah.
Devin Weatherspoon, I will go to that in a minute because I think this guy is an absolute beast and I think he's going to be an absolute brilliant NFL player. Richardson, you've also agreed with Ollie that Falcons are going to have enough with Mariota
Yeah, I think
on
so
that
too.
one. The Stafford QB, and I can't find him. He's actually made Bucky's top 5, and you've got him going at 9.
I do like the Hendon Hooker pick at 13 because I'm very high on Hooker, as we'll get to later in this episode. However, I'm worried that his ACL injury might knock him out the first round.
Which, if that does, you've got an absolute steal of a quarterback in the late rounds.
Yeah,
absolute steal. But yeah, I really like Osiris Torrance. I think he's a very, very good guy out of Florida Gators. I'm a Gators follower. I'm not saying I'm a fan, so I watch as much of the stuff as I can. And he is an absolute brilliant. He led one of the top guards in the NCAAs this year. So yeah, he's very, very good.
What people have got to understand, I knew of about 5 of these names of the whole draft.
Shane, I'm not throwing you shade. I'm not throwing you shade at all, my friend.
You went, but yeah. So this is obviously never going to be perfect. It's a first draft, you know.
First of 3, I believe.
Yeah, fine, but no worries.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'll go away and we'll see what we'll work with it.
Mr. Phil, would you like to go next?
Yeah, I'll go next. I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm just going to go for the ones that it's at least mine on there now. Oh, they are. Phil,
I love you. Before you start, turn your microphone down a touch, but please.
Sorry, do you want me to talk a little bit quieter?
Oh, okay. Stop it now. Stop it now.
Now you sound like Ghostface.
Well, let me tell you. What's your favorite scary movie? All right, so Will Anderson Jr. I think is absolutely brilliant coming out of Bama. I think just because of what Chicago represent, they still hung up on their 85 defense, and I think an edge rusher is someone that they massively need on that defensive side of the ball. So I think Will Anderson's going to be there. I think Bryce Young is going to end up in Houston, but I also think that D'Amico is going to bring in a veteran quarterback, whether or not that is one of those that are up for grabs or someone that's already in the league just to start the beginning of the season or just to kind of use as a mentor going through it. I think the Colts will pick Will Levis because I think they're also going to pick up a veteran quarterback as well for him to sit behind. Whether or not that is Carr, I think it will be Carr, but I think that is the way to build forward in Indianapolis because they've got a massive thing to go to. I know when we talked about like the quarterbacks that we're going to focus on, I mentioned CJ Stroud, and the more I've looked into him since we had this discussion a week ago, the more that I'm more or less convinced that CJ, if he falls at the number 7, I mean, I don't think he will. I think he might actually go a little bit earlier on, but I think for what he represents and what he brings and what the Raiders need and what McDaniels looks for in a quarterback, I think CJ Stroud is going to end up in, I nearly said Oakland again. I think he's going to end up in Vegas next year. Jordan Addison, I've also put at number 11 going to the Titans because the Titans desperately need wide receivers. Now, there's a massive question mark over who will be their quarterback next year, but the fact is that they lost quite a lot of their offensive weaponry, and I think Jordan Addison, he is an absolute beast of a wide receiver, and he's going to be someone that's going to be really, really good in the draft. Green Bay, again, whatever happens to Aaron Rodgers, Tyree Wilson coming from Texas Tech, he is a fantastic edge rusher, but he can also play as an interior lineman as well. So he can play more or less along the line front, which again, I think Green Bay massively need to look into to bolster their defense because they leaked a lot of points last season. Joey Porter Jr. Now, I'm massively high on him because I do genuinely think he is the best corner/safety in the draft coming up. But because of who his dad was for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Steelers in the last couple of years in the draft has picked hometown heroes like Kenny Pickett,
Yeah,
Pittsburgh,
good.
massive. He's the number one guy. I can definitely see this kind of Cinderella story of Joey Porter Senior's son being drafted to play for the team that he won 2 Super Bowls with. So I can think Joey Porter Jr. is going to end up
I
at the
completely forgot his
Steelers.
dad was a Steeler.
Yeah.
Me too. actually.
Exactly.
I
I mean, he was an outside linebacker, vicious SOB, completely like unhinged.
Oh,
Like
God,
I mean, like offenses hated to play against him. He had this massive go, f yourself attitude. But off the field, like the Steelers players loved him because of what he represented. And I could see Joey Porter again, very different type of player to his dad, not just in terms of position, but also attitude. He seems quite a lot more of a laid back. Not laid back, but like quiet assassin type shutdown corner. I mean, his stats when we come into it in a couple of weeks' time, when we look at like the secondary players coming into the draft, he is sensational. Like his college stats are insane. Couple of years. I'm just going to come down to what did I put for the Patriot? What did I put for my Patriot?
Patriots are
Oh yeah.
14.
I put for number 14. I think Witherspoon. Because Bill loves his secondary. And he's built a lot of his great teams, and you can disagree or agree with me. He's built a lot of his great defenses off of not just shut down corners, but effective corners.
Gilly.
And Devon Witherspoon is a very, very good corner because he can slip inside to play as an outside linebacker, but also he can go deep as well. He's not rapidly fast, but he reads the game exceptionally well at college level.
And he's got
Deontay Banks, corner.
really good-
Yeah. Absolutely. And staying on the corners, Jacksonville, I think they do need to look for their secondary as well. So I've picked Deontay Banks coming from Maryland. Again, very, very good corner. Zay Flowers, I think he's going to end up in Dallas because I think they're going to look to get their offense, especially on the width side of the ball. And to finish off, I think Nolan Smith will end up in... I picked 2 edge rushers to finish the draft. So Andre Carter II going to Philly, and then Nolan Smith going from Georgia to Kansas.
Phil, with McKee going to Ravens at the 22, are you suggesting that they're going to lose Lamar, or are you suggesting to have?
No, I
Lamar?
think he's going to. I'm very torn because a couple of days ago, when I think we discussed in our little messenger group about them putting a franchise tag on him, there are still massively miles apart in terms of Lamar and what Lamar wants and what Baltimore are willing to give. I think they'll draft a quarterback for one backup, but also as well. I mean, Lamar didn't have a great season. I mean, he was injured. He's injured. I don't want to say injury prone, but his style of playing quarterback, he takes a lot of hits. He runs quite a lot. I think they want that kind of reassurance that they have a pretty good second or third, backed quarterback in the draft. But I wouldn't be surprised if they trade Lamar. I'm sorry, Shano. Like I want him to stay in Baltimore. I really do, because as much as I will give him a lot of shade, I have a lot of time for Lamar. I think he's a really, really talented athlete. I think he's not flawed, but like he has a very clear ceiling to where I think what Baltimore can do with him and the weapons that they're willing to give him. But I can see them capitalizing in potential draft space and also getting him off their wage bill to go a little bit younger because they've got the pieces. I just don't think Baltimore and Lamar are willing to commit to each other, and you can see that with the negotiations. So I think. I think they'll draft as a mild threat, but also potential future backup.
He wants the Mahomes money,
Definitely.
and he wants the Deshaun Watson money. But
I mean, what the Browns have done. Yeah, exactly. I mean, what the Browns have done, and we see this in our football quite a lot, where teams will pay stupid money for bang average players and then slap them on $500,000 a week contracts, i.e. Jack Grealish. Yeah, well, Fernandez, your Jack Grealishes, your Raheem Sterling, and I love Raheem Sterling, but Jesus Christ, the amount of money that he is on for what he actually churns out for Chelsea is ridiculous.
Well, you'll pay all that CSN, really.
Yeah, and all it does is just inflate bang average players to, or above average players to, like, well, if you're paying Deshaun Watson that to play for the Browns, well, I play for the Ravens and we play in, and I was MVP a couple of years ago and I've got no sex scandals to my name and, I've done this, and this. Why aren't I getting paid the same amount as Deshaun Watson who plays for the Browns with a losing record? So I think unfortunately that's where the Ravens will probably end up, where they'll either not come to an agreement or look to trade him.
It would break my heart, and I think it would.
Oh, absolutely.
Break
But you've gone through it before though. When you went through it with Flacco, but like Flacco was different,
Yeah.
and you had to go through it with Dilfer as well. So you've got used to like bang average quarterbacks being moved on.
Right, my turn.
And also, Shadow, Flacco and Dilfer won you a Super Bowl. Like,
I know what I mean. That's what I mean. Bang average quarterback. Aye, all right, aye.
Right. Can I talk now? I think.
yeah, please. Sorry, Mr. Butler.
Mine. I've spent so much time on this one. It's ridiculous. I'm still not fully happy with this one at all. I've gone against the trend, apart from Shayna. I've gone Jalen Carter number one. I like Jalen Carter. I like his size. Very good at run stopping. They were one of the worst run defenses last year. Just thinking there. I've taken CJ Stroud. I reckon he's going to go number two. We spoke earlier on. Over Bryce Young. I think there's a couple of question marks over Bryce Young, which will make him drop a couple of things. I still don't think he's going to drop out of the top five. I've got him at 4 going to Indy for that reason only. Obviously, I've got Will Anderson going to Cardinals. You guys said all we need to say about him. This guy is a brilliant player, can move all across the line.
Wow, you've got Skolsky going high.
I think he's the best tackle in the league. Best tackle coming into this draft by a mile. Hardly any sacks, giving up any sacks. Attacks the secondary really well in the run game. He's going to be really good in that Seattle. He's going to play absolutely brilliant to KW3. It's going to elevate him. I've got Devil Witherspoon going to Indy. I think to Detroit. I think he personally is the best cornerback in this league going into this draft. As you said, he can play up. He can move into a linebacker. He can drop into safety. He can drop out to corner. He is definitely a corner. We will going to review him in the next 2 or 3 weeks. But yeah, I think this guy is absolute stud. Raiders, I think they're going to take a tackle. Paris Johnson. I've got Andre to Atlanta. I just think they need some work on that defense. I've got the / mass murderer going to Carolina. I think they pick up one of these veteran quarterbacks, and I think they're going to give them weapons. Tyree Wilson, I think he's going to go to Eagles. They're going to lose a lot of key players in that defense, and I think they're going to start rebuilding. My first wide receiver is Jordan Anderson. I think he's going to Titans. As you said earlier, they need weapons. Yeah. Ollie will like this. Jalen Hyatt is going to Houston. Yeah.
I mean, we're reviewing Hendon Hooker later in the show, and if we're reviewing Hendon Hooker, we might as well just review Jalen Hyatt too.
Yeah, because they are highlight well between them.
Those two have a connection. I reckon if you're taking Jalen Hyatt, you should make a play to go get Hendon Hooker too.
Definitely. I'm going to be mainly talking about Will Levis in a bit. So I've done a lot of research and looked at him, and I've gone, yeah, this guy's not what I thought he was going to be. So I've got him going to the Jets. Jets have a habit of 2 years. We've had enough of that quarterback. Let's try a new one.
Well, they don't have 2 years. They don't have a quarterback at the moment, do they? Unless you count Mike White.
No.
Alvin Carr's been indicted. Just breaking news, by the way. Among 4 men charged alleged beating in a Las Vegas nightclub in Feb 20 last year.
Oh yeah, we heard about that.
Yeah, so it's now just been indicted. I've got head over heart or heart over head, Zay Flowers. Patriots were all over this guy on the East versus West Bowl. They loved him. All the reports is they seriously want this guy, and I do believe they're going to address the O-line in free agency. I've got Kincaid, I think, is the best tight end going to Detroit.
I suppose, but Michael Myers is going higher.
I think Michael Meyer gives more what Carolina need.
Because I agree with you. I think
He is more. Michael Meyer is
think
more of a
Kincaid is-
traditional tight end.
I agree with you. The
Michael-
Kincaid's the best tight end.
Kincaid is a tight end. He's more like Kelsey, and I put Michael Meyer more like Kittle. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with you. The Kincaid's the best tight end, though.
Anderson going to Tampa. They're going to want a QB all day long. As I said, I've given Shana's Falcons probably the best offensive guard in this draft.
Ravens.
Ravens,
Try that
sorry, yeah.
Birds.
I'm looking across the line. Osiris Torrance, he's a brilliant offensive guard. Absolutely brilliant. We got another tight end going to Jacksonville and Luke Musgrove. I think they need something else. Evan Ingram, I think he only had a 1-year contract. I think his contract's up this year, if I remember correctly.
Evan Ingram
that
was
way.
tearing it up towards the end of last season.
I believe he's on free agency. This is why I've done it.
But I really like your pick at 27.
Yes. So then I've got a couple of wide receivers in Jackson Smith-Njigba going to New York. They need new wide receivers, same as Dallas with Quentin Johnson. As Ollie said, Bills, one of the big problem with Bills, apart from Josh Allen really can't get it done in the playoffs, is are very weak at running back. Brian Robson is a brilliant running back. Ran the ball so well. I think he was over 1,500 yards for Texas. Superb.
The only reason I didn't put a running back there is because I truly believe they're going to make a play to get someone like Saquon this offseason.
Yeah. Then I got Phil's boy going to Bengals. I think they need some extra help in that secondary.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Hendon Hooker going to Saints. I've got a very, very good linebacker going to Eagles in Drew Sanders. I think they're going to stack up that secondary, that defensive front seven. And then Broderick Jones, who's a very highly rated tackle out of Georgia, going to Mahomes because I think he needs a little bit of extra coverage in there, even though they were superb in the Super Bowl, that line. Pick the bones out of that one, gentlemen.
I like it. I like most of those picks. I do think
Yeah.
Robinson will go number one, but apart from that, I like most of those picks.
I see no issue with it, considering it's quite early in the process. Give it a couple of weeks, couple of months down the line, then maybe we can discuss it then.
Most definitely. As stated last week, it is Draft Prospect Series time. We have started this. So last season we did one a week because it was 16 weeks we did it for. Yeah, I might actually make some theme tune music for this. It's got to be done.
Yes.
But this time we are going to do positions. Each week we'll choose a position. This week, of course, we have to start with the quarterbacks. We have got our 4 quarterbacks. We have got Bryce Young from Alabama, CJ Stroud from Ohio State, Ollie's love child in Hendon Hooker, and I've taken Will Levis from Kentucky. Who would like to go first?
That's
I
all
can
right.
go on, Ollie. Go on.
Let me just
so-
bring up our little clip video of Hendon Hooker. We've got to talk, otherwise we might get told off by YouTube. Right, let's go.
I'll talk over him.
The
Shall I?
SEC, number 2 in the nation.
So Hendon
As Hooker
Hooker,
looks downfield in the end zone. He's got it!
Too fast on the